Hey guys, I'm Janessa. Welcome to my new channel. My previous channel was mostly videos of performances with my friends and I. So I figured I would create a second one to talk about DIY projects. And for my first video, we're actually going to talk about books that I read in the month of May and do a tour of my lovely bookshelf. I'm actually an English literature student, and as well as peace and conflict studies. So I have a lot of books, but I can point out some of my favorites. So here is one of my favorite DIY books. It's the Bus DIY Guide to Life. It's actually really good. You should check out their website and their magazine. They have a lot of really cool DIY projects. One of my favorite books by Aldous Huxley, who wrote Brave New World. This is Island. It's actually really, really good. I bought it going out on a whim I needed something to read at camp, and I really liked it. Wide Sargasso Sea, there we go, by Rhys, is kind of like the prequel to Jane Eyre. I don't really like Jane Eyre, but I really like the prequel. It talks about the crazy woman in the attic and how she came that way. Lolita, one of my favorite books. It's nice and creepy. Speaking of creepy, there is by John Fowles. It's kind of like a crossover between Lolita and Catcher in the Rye. It's from the point of view of a guy who kidnaps a woman to make her fall in love with him. I really like canning. My mom got me this for my 22nd birthday, and I'm very excited to try some recipes. This book, Not Wanted on the Voyage by Timothy Findlay, I had to read that in the fall for contemporary Canadian literature class. It's sort of a modern take on Noah's Ark, and it's actually really interesting. There's some very creepy parts and weird parts, but it's really cool. This is my gold dinosaur. He's pretty. The Ultimate Guide to Homesteading. 50 Plants That Changed the Course of History. Tolkien Bestiary, because I'm a nerd. Homegrown Remedies. Great. So, the first book that I read during the month of May was Reading Lolita in Tehran, a memoir by Azar Nafisi. I was so excited to read this book because it combined my love of women's studies, my love of the Middle East, and English literature. So she is an Iranian English professor, and it follows sort of how she related certain great works of literature to what she was experiencing in such a conservative, oppressive government. But it's fantastic. I really recommend it. I read Anna Karenina. I started it in like December because it's like, oh, I got this at a thrift store. I should read it eventually. Yep. But I don't know. I thought it was gonna be super boring and stuff because people always talk about how boring Anna Karenina really don't. I really liked this book. As an English student, I read a lot and very quickly, so once I actually sat down and started reading it, it didn't take me very long. The ending? I had no idea that was coming. Like, I haven't watched any of the movies. I was planning on watching the Keira Knightley version once I finished this book, and I was really surprised. I was so emotional about it. This whole book was just great. Read it if you like reading. I also read A Murder Mystery. It was from one of my favorite series. The main character is related to the queen and stuff, and she solves mysteries, and they're a good series. You should read them. The last book that I read during the month of May was Globish by McGrum. I liked the first half where it talked about the main history of English, which I already knew. But then it got into sort of American English, and he kind of skipped over Canada. Like, when he was talking about the Second World War. Basically, it was England and the States against the Nazis. Canada did a lot. I think I'm actually going to write him a letter because he mentioned Canada twice. My unnamed dinosaur would like to know, what did you read? during the month of May. Or any other months. Does that be cool to know? Do you have any book recommendations?